Hey friends, welcome to tonight's relaxing philosophy for sleep. This slow-spoken bedtime gentle narration is designed to help you unwind, clear your mind, and drift into a peaceful night's rest. Now, I know what you're thinking. Stoicism and sleep can't be a match made in heaven. But trust me, the Stoics have a lot to offer when it comes to calming your mind before bed. You probably never realized philosophy could lull you to sleep so peacefully. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. I'd love to know where you're tuning in from tonight, so feel free to share your location and local time in the comments. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Let's start with something that can change the way you view your entire day: embracing the present moment. This is the cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, and it's also the gateway to peaceful sleep. We spend so much of our time worrying about what's coming tomorrow or ruminating on past mistakes, but none of that is happening right now, is it? All that anxiety is based on things outside of this very moment. And here's where Stoicism offers a powerful shift: the idea that everything outside of the present moment is beyond our control. Imagine if, instead of fixing your mind on things that haven't even happened yet, you could simply let go of that mental weight. The Stoics urge us to focus only on the now. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said it perfectly. The past and the future are beyond your control. The present is where you have power. And right now, that present moment is inviting you to relax, exhale, and let go of anything that isn't happening here and now. This shift in focus makes a huge difference when you're trying to clear your mind before bed. You don't need to carry yesterday's burdens with you into tomorrow. All that exists is this moment. And right now it's peaceful. Let it be so. If you think about it, this is why your mind races before sleep. It's not the fact that your day was overwhelming, it's that your mind refuses to live in the moment. It keeps looping back to past worries and future anxieties over and over, making sleep feel impossible. You might have experienced this, staring at the ceiling, heart racing, thoughts cycling through scenarios that haven't even happened. The key is to stop trying to control those thoughts. It sounds a bit counterintuitive, but the more you resist the racing thoughts, the more they push back. Instead, try embracing them. Yes, really. Take a moment to acknowledge each thought that tries to invade your peace. Say to yourself, that's okay. It's not mine to carry right now. The less you react, the less those thoughts will haunt you. So let's breathe that in for a second. It's not about eliminating thoughts. It's about acknowledging that they don't deserve your focus. The more you practice this, the easier it gets. Slowly, gently, you can begin to train your mind to let go of the idea that every worry needs your attention. The trick is to not react to it, which in itself can be profoundly calming. You can't control what comes into your mind, but you can control whether or not you let it run the show. This is a perfect example of a Stoic principle, distinguishing between what we can control and what we can't. You can control how you react to the world and how much mental space you allow for worries, but you can't control the world itself. And that's exactly what makes Stoic philosophy so valuable for sleep. Letting go of the things that are out of your hands is liberating. Think of it like cleaning out a drawer. You know, that drawer where you toss all the random thoughts and worries? The Stoics ask you to open that drawer and let everything fall out, organizing only what's needed. That's how you can bring peace to your mind, one little thought at a time. The beauty of Stoicism is that it doesn't shy away from the tough stuff. It doesn't pretend that life is always calm and peaceful. In fact, one of its most empowering messages is that hardship is inevitable, but our response to it is entirely in our hands. This brings us to an interesting fact that'll help you get comfortable tonight. Even ancient philosophers had their own battles with sleep. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, talked a lot about control, about taking ownership of what we can. And when it comes to sleep, it turns out that the control we have is all in how we prepare our minds. Rather than fight sleep, Epictetus might say we need to make peace with it. much like we do with everything else in life. But here's the quirky part. Even though the Stoics were all about letting go of external things, they were also obsessed with the power of mental discipline. One scholar even argued that the Stoics would have loved modern mindfulness meditation. They had their own version of it, known as preparation for sleep, or prososh, an intense awareness of the present moment and a refusal to let the mind wander into distraction. Imagine using that technique tonight to slowly sink into a peaceful state of awareness, one breath at a time. And remember, philosophers still argue whether we can truly control our thoughts. Some say the mind is like a wild animal that can never be tamed. Others believe that with time we can train it to stay calm. Either way, the Stoic solution is clear. You are not your thoughts. You are not the worries racing through your mind. You are the calm observer of them. So tonight, let's take that approach. As the darkness settles and the weight of the day lifts from your shoulders, remember that you are not in a race against your thoughts. You don't have to fix everything before sleep. You don't have to solve the problems of tomorrow tonight. Your only job is to let go and let the present moment carry you to rest. As you breathe in, slowly and deeply, allow the idea of letting go to settle in your body. Inhale calmness. Exhale the day's demands. You don't need to rush, you don't need to do anything. All that's required now is to sink deeper into the present, where only the now exists. And here, in this space, peace is yours for the taking. Now that we've focused on embracing the present moment, let's move into another essential Stoic idea that'll bring you peace tonight. Letting go. It's one of the hardest things to do, especially when you're lying in bed with your thoughts bouncing around like a pinball machine, isn't it? The day's demands, lingering conversations, and unfinished tasks all want to keep their hold on your mind. The Stoics, however, teach us that we can choose to release these things, and the moment we do, we give ourselves the gift of calmness. When you lay down to sleep tonight, this isn't just about finding rest. It's about practicing the art of letting go, of allowing yourself to disconnect from everything you can't control. This is something the Stoics were particularly good at. They understood that, in the grand scheme of things, worrying about external events or what happened in the past is nothing more than a waste of mental energy. Instead, they believed that the key to inner peace lies in how we react to those events, not the events themselves. So how do you let go in a practical sense? Well, it's about giving yourself permission to be free of the weight of your thoughts. Think of it like walking through a door into a room where all those worries and responsibilities get to stay behind. The door closes softly, and suddenly there's space. Space to breathe and simply be. The more you practice this, the easier it gets, but it's a discipline that takes time. You can imagine it as a muscle that strengthens with use. At first it feels uncomfortable, like you're abandoning something important. But in reality, you're doing exactly the opposite. By letting go, you're making room for what truly matters: rest, recovery, and peace. Here's a thought. Every time you feel your mind racing, you can gently remind yourself that you don't need to figure it all out right now. You don't have to solve everything in the next few minutes. The Stoics would say, "What's within my control?" In this moment, nothing is in your control except your response to the situation, which means you can choose peace. The funny thing is, letting go doesn't mean giving up. It's actually a powerful act of taking charge. When you relinquish your grip on those things that don't serve you, those worries about tomorrow, that replay of an argument, or the fear of missing out, you free up space for your mind to settle into calmness. And believe it or not, sleep starts to feel a little more inviting when you stop carrying the weight of the world in your head. Think about it. Would you try to carry a heavy backpack up a mountain all day, and then expect to fall asleep easily afterward? Of course not. Yet that's exactly what we do when we hold on to unnecessary stress. But the Stoics knew that letting go is a way to lighten the load, and lightness is a precursor to rest. If you think about it, much of the time, we don't realize just how tightly we grip things. The Stoics believed in a practice called ataraxia, a state of serene calmness and freedom from anxiety. It's not about pretending that everything is perfect or that life isn't challenging. It's about accepting what is and not getting swept up in mental chaos. When we let go of things that don't matter right now, we step into a place of peace. Imagine being able to look back at the day and say, "That was what it was. I did my best. Now, I can rest." That's the Stoic way. By releasing the stress of trying to control the uncontrollable, we become free to live fully in the present. And from this space of freedom, we can rest. It's all about perspective. What if you looked at your worries tonight and said, "You'll be there tomorrow. Right now, I'm going to rest." Let's take a moment to breathe that in. As you inhale, feel your body soften, releasing the tension of the day. With each exhale, imagine letting go of whatever remains, those lingering thoughts or worries that have no place in your peaceful night. Picture them fading into the background as you shift your attention inward. You have the power to decide where your thoughts go. And tonight, let them go to a place of calm. Remember, just as you can't control the events of the day, you also don't have to carry them into your sleep. As the Stoics would say, you can control your response, and your response tonight is peace. It might seem difficult at first, especially if your mind is accustomed to overthinking. But just like any skill, it becomes easier with practice. Every time you consciously choose to let go, you're rewiring your mind to be at ease. So, as you lay here, know that this practice of release is helping you prepare for the most peaceful sleep. There's nothing you need to solve tonight. All you need to do is breathe, let go, and allow yourself to drift into that state of calmness. By embracing this act of letting go, you're not only following Stoic wisdom but also giving yourself the gift of a peaceful mind. And that's exactly what you need for a restful night's sleep. Let the night unfold on its own. You're no longer bound by the worries of the day. Instead, you're free, and that freedom is what will carry you into deep, restorative sleep. Tonight, let go of anything that doesn't serve you, and embrace the stillness of the present. It's time to let go. And in this moment, you can finally rest. Now that we've worked on embracing the present moment and practicing the art of letting go, let's dive into another fundamental Stoic teaching that will ease your mind tonight. The power of control, or more specifically, understanding what's in your control and what isn't. When you stop and think about it, much of the stress and anxiety we carry is rooted in things we cannot control. From the weather to other people's actions, there's a whole world of uncertainty out there that we spend too much time trying to manage. But here's the catch. The Stoics, with their unshakable wisdom, told us that the only thing we can control is our response. And my friend, that's incredibly freeing when you really sit with it. Think about all the little things that make you anxious throughout the day. The things you can't control. The things you know deep down aren't worth your time or energy. Why do we let them take up so much space in our minds? It's a paradox, really. We try to control the uncontrollable, but in doing so, we only make our own minds more chaotic. Now let's take this concept and apply it to tonight's peaceful sleep. If you've spent your day overthinking, trying to anticipate the outcome of situations you can't predict, then it's no wonder you're struggling to rest now. The beauty of understanding control, according to the Stoics, is that when we stop trying to grasp at everything around us, we create space for peace. So, as you settle into bed tonight, take a moment to reflect on this. What can you control right now? You can control your breath. You can control the way you position your body. You can control the decision to let go of the thoughts that aren't serving you. But here's the important part. You can't control the events that happened today, nor can you control the people around you. You certainly can't control what tomorrow will bring. In fact, the Stoics would say that trying to control anything beyond your own actions is futile. And it's in accepting this reality that you find peace. It's like sitting down with a cup of tea after a long day. You don't expect the tea to change or morph into something else. You accept it as it is. The same goes for life. Accepting things as they are, without the need to change them, gives you back control over your inner world. The power of letting go is about releasing that false belief that you have to manage every detail of life. You don't. What's more, by realizing that you can control your response to life's challenges, you suddenly gain access to a profound sense of inner calm. Stoicism teaches that the real battle is not against external forces, but against our own reactions to them. Think of it this way. You may not be able to control how a person behaves toward you, but you can control how you respond. And this power is incredibly useful when it comes to winding down for sleep. It's as simple as saying, "This is what happened today and I can accept it. What's most important now is my peace of mind." There's something so liberating about knowing you don't have to fix everything right away. Imagine how much lighter your mind would feel if you let go of the burden of trying to control things that are beyond your reach. Once you truly understand the concept of control, you'll realize that you've been carrying around so much unnecessary mental weight. By focusing only on what you can influence, your own actions, your reactions, and your thoughts, you can leave the rest behind, allowing you to fall into a peaceful slumber. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a river flowing peacefully, free from rocks or obstructions. Now picture a boulder being placed into that river, causing it to churn and swell. That boulder represents all the things you can't control. When you cling to them, your inner river becomes turbulent and restless. But if you remove the boulder, if you stop fighting the uncontrollable, you allow the river to flow calmly again. That's what this Stoic practice does for your mind. It clears away the mental clutter and leaves you with a stream of tranquility, ready to carry you off to sleep. It's important to understand that this isn't about being passive or accepting everything without action. It's about being selective in where you invest your energy. The Stoics weren't the type to lay down and let life happen to them. Instead, they focused their efforts on what they could change, and the rest, they simply accepted. The key is in the balance. You take responsibility for what's within your reach, and you release everything else. This act of letting go, of releasing your grip on the uncontrollable, is liberating. It's like unclenching your fist after holding on too tightly for too long. You open your hand and let go of all that tension, all that unnecessary weight. And in doing so, you allow yourself to be free. Freedom is what leads to peace, and peace is what leads to deep, restorative sleep. As you lie here now, close your eyes and take a deep breath. Focus only on your breath as it flows in and out of your body. Let your mind gently come to a halt, and think about this. You are not responsible for everything that happened today, nor are you responsible for what will happen tomorrow. The only thing you have control over right now is the breath you're taking, the relaxation of your muscles, and the calmness of your mind. You don't need to carry the weight of the day with you. You've done your part. Now, let go of the rest. Tonight, focus on what you can control, your response. As you practice this, you'll start to notice how much easier it becomes to let go and simply rest. You don't have to carry the world on your shoulders. In fact, the Stoics would say that by not carrying that weight, you actually become more effective at handling life's challenges when they come. So, take a deep breath, let go, and give yourself permission to rest. You've already done enough for today. Now rest. Now that we've explored how to embrace the present moment, let go of what we can't control and focus on what we can control, let's dive into another Stoic principle that's incredibly valuable when it comes to quieting your mind before sleep: the power of acceptance. One of the most profound Stoic teachings is that life in all its complexities can be fully embraced, not in spite of, but because of its unpredictability. Think about it. Life rarely goes as planned. We can, make the best plans, set our intentions, and yet the universe has its own ideas about how things should unfold, and that's perfectly okay. In fact, for the Stoics, it's not just okay, it's something to be welcomed. The Stoics had a term for this, amor fati, which means love of fate. They didn't just believe in accepting the events of life, they believed in loving them. It's an incredibly powerful concept when you think about it, especially in terms of how you approach sleep. Imagine if, instead of fighting the events of the day, you could simply accept them with open arms, as they are, without resistance. If you spent your day with a clear intention to control only your actions and responses, and you didn't get attached to the outcomes, wouldn't that make falling asleep a whole lot easier? Letting go of the need to control everything allows you to find peace, especially as the day winds down. Think of it this way. When you resist life, you're essentially battling with reality. And when you battle reality, you only create more stress and tension, which makes falling asleep that much more difficult. But when you accept that things happen as they happen, you release the inner tension that arises from trying to bend life to your will. And guess what happens when you do that? You free yourself from all that mental clutter, and that mental space is what allows you to sleep deeply. It sounds almost too simple, right? But that's the beauty of Stoic wisdom. It's not about complex solutions. It's about reorienting how we look at the world. It's about shifting your perspective, one thought at a time. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus spent a lot of time reflecting on this idea of acceptance. In fact, Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations wrote about how he would consciously remind himself to accept whatever happened in the course of his day. Whether things went well or badly, he would note, "This is what was meant to happen, and this is where I find my peace." Imagine practicing that thought just before sleep. Instead of recounting everything that went wrong or worrying about what didn't go according to plan, you simply accept it. And when you do this, you're not saying, "I approve of everything that happened." You're saying, "I accept that life unfolds the way it does, and I'm okay with that." It's a small shift, but it's so powerful. It brings instant relief. And here's the thing. When we truly accept life as it comes, when we stop resisting, we stop creating unnecessary stress and anxiety for ourselves. This doesn't mean that you don't care about what happens or that you abandon your goals. It simply means that you stop fighting life because you know that fighting the inevitable only creates suffering. You can't control the future and you can't change the past, but you can control how you view the present moment. And when you view it through the lens of acceptance, something magical happens. You stop worrying and you start living more fully in the present. This doesn't just apply to major life events, it works just as well with the little things that fill your mind before bed. Maybe you're thinking about a conversation that didn't go the way you wanted, or worrying about something that's out of your hands. What if instead of trying to replay the conversation in your mind or trying to control the uncontrollable, you simply accepted it? What if you decided that for tonight, you didn't need to fix anything? What if tonight, all you had to do was accept that what's done is done and the only thing left to do is to rest? The thing about acceptance is that it doesn't require you to condone what happened. It doesn't require you to be happy about everything, but it does require you to let go of any mental resistance. And once that resistance is gone, peace follows. When you embrace this idea of acceptance, you begin to feel less anxious and less overwhelmed. The thoughts that once seemed so pressing start to feel less significant. You realize that whatever happened today is part of your story, and tomorrow is a new page. The past cannot hurt you anymore, and you don't have to carry it into tomorrow. Your role is to simply be in the present, and in that moment you have peace. The Stoics were masters of this practice. They knew that peace didn't come from having perfect circumstances. It came from being at peace with whatever circumstances life threw their way. And this is something that you can practice tonight. The more you accept the present moment, the more peace you'll find in your life, and the easier sleep will come. By welcoming whatever has happened, you open yourself to the peace of just being, without any pressure to do more, fix more, or stress over things that aren't in your hands. This is the core of Stoic wisdom. Acceptance doesn't mean you become passive. It means you focus your energy on what you can change, your thoughts, your actions, your responses, and leave the rest behind. As you prepare to close your eyes tonight, think about what you can accept. Maybe it's the stress of the day. Maybe it's the uncertainty of tomorrow. Whatever it is, know that acceptance is your tool for releasing it. Just as you close your eyes to sleep, let go of any need to control what's already done. Let the rest of your thoughts fade, and allow your body to relax into the peace that comes with true acceptance. Tonight, you're going to let go. You're going to accept. And in that acceptance, you're going to find rest. Now that we've explored the power of acceptance, it's time to turn our attention to something just as important when it comes to relaxing your mind before bed. The art of simplification. You might have noticed that your mind tends to become cluttered at the end of the day. thoughts piling up like scattered papers on a desk, all demanding your attention. And here's the thing. The more cluttered your mind gets, the harder it becomes to find any peace. If you think about it, a cluttered mind is a reflection of a cluttered life. Stoic philosophy teaches us to strip away unnecessary distractions, to focus only on what truly matters, and to remove the mental noise that gets in the way of calm. The Stoics didn't just apply this principle to their actions in the world, they also applied it to their mental lives. They understood that one of the best ways to maintain inner peace is by keeping things simple, by not overloading your mind with distractions, worries, or trivial concerns. This doesn't mean ignoring the complexities of life. It simply means that when it comes to your inner world, simplicity is key. When you look at the way the Stoics lived, you see a clear emphasis on reducing excess, whether that meant living modestly, focusing only on what was within their control, or eliminating the unnecessary noise from their minds. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the idea that the mind should be a place of order, where unnecessary thoughts have no place. "Your mind is a garden," he wrote, "so be careful what you plant in it. If you want to sleep peacefully tonight, it's time to take that garden metaphor seriously. Think of your mind as a garden that's filled with weeds, thoughts that don't need to be there, emotions that don't serve you, and worries that are out of your control. The Stoic way is to weed out those distractions, leaving space for clarity and calm. So, how do you simplify your mind before bed? It starts with recognizing the mental clutter you've accumulated throughout the day. Maybe it's a conversation that didn't go well, maybe it's an unfinished task, or maybe it's a worry about something beyond your control. Whatever it is, it's time to take a mental inventory and decide what to keep and what to let go. This process of simplification involves taking everything that's currently occupying space in your mind and deciding whether it's worth carrying into the night. If it's not, then let it go. The Stoics were masters of this practice. They didn't allow themselves to dwell on things that weren't useful. They didn't waste mental energy on worries, regrets, or anxieties about things that couldn't be changed. They focused only on what they could control, and they made sure that the clutter didn't distract them from their inner peace. Tonight, let's apply that same mindset. Start by mentally scanning your day. What's taking up space in your mind? What can you let go of? Here's a simple exercise. Imagine each thought as a cloud passing through the sky. Watch each cloud float by, without attaching yourself to it. If a thought lingers, simply acknowledge it, but don't grab onto it. Let it float away, just as easily as it came. By simplifying your thoughts, you're giving your mind the opportunity to relax and let go of what isn't important right now. It's about decluttering not just your physical space, but your mental space too. The Stoics often used the technique of journaling to help clear their minds, to take everything they were holding onto and lay it out on paper. This helped them make sense of their thoughts and let go of anything that wasn't necessary. So if you're lying in bed tonight and your mind is racing, try this. Take a moment to mentally write down everything that's on your mind. Identify each thought, perhaps a worry, a task, an unresolved issue, and then ask yourself, is this something I need to carry with me into tomorrow? If the answer is no, then mentally set it aside. You don't have to hold on to it right now. This process of simplification is like hitting a mental reset button. As you let go of what doesn't serve you, you create space for a deeper, more peaceful state of mind. And once that space is created, sleep will come more easily. It's a simple but powerful practice. The more you simplify your thoughts, the easier it becomes to rest. Think of it like turning off the noise before bed. The world is constantly buzzing around you, but your mind doesn't have to reflect that. You have the power to turn down the volume. Simplification is the key to clearing that mental clutter and creating the peaceful environment necessary for sleep. What you might notice is that as you begin simplifying your mental space, you start to feel lighter. The weight of the world doesn't seem so heavy anymore, and the worries that kept you up in the past begin to fade. This is what the Stoics meant by inner peace. Not the absence of difficulty or challenges, but the ability to maintain clarity and calm despite them. And tonight, that's exactly what you're doing. You're simplifying your thoughts and creating space for the stillness that make sleep possible. As you settle further into your bed, take another deep breath and focus on clearing away any lingering thoughts. Imagine your mind as a serene, calm lake, still and clear without any ripples or disturbances. You can create that stillness simply by choosing to simplify. The more you practice this, the easier it gets. The more you simplify your mental landscape, the more you'll find that peace comes naturally. Remember, the Stoics didn't waste their time on what they couldn't control. They focused on what mattered, and in doing so, they lived lives of purpose, clarity, and calm. Tonight, you can do the same. Simplify your mind, clear away the distractions, and make space for the peaceful sleep that you deserve. Now that we've focused on simplifying our minds, it's time to introduce a powerful Stoic practice that can transform your evenings. Evening reflection. This practice is not just a way to end your day, it's a means of resetting your mental state, helping you release the accumulated stress of the day and regain a sense of balance. As you prepare for sleep tonight, let's think about how the Stoics would reflect on their day. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often spent time at the end of his day reflecting on his actions, his thoughts, and the events that had unfolded. He asked himself questions like, did I live according to my values today? Where did I fall short? And perhaps most importantly, what can I learn from today? These questions weren't meant to bring self-criticism. Rather, they were meant to offer self-awareness and insight. By reflecting, the Stoics allowed themselves to process the events of the day, acknowledge their reactions, and adjust for tomorrow. They recognized that reflection helped them to clear their minds and make peace with the things they couldn't change. Imagine incorporating this practice into your routine before sleep. As you settle into bed, instead of letting your mind race or replay every detail of the day, take a few moments to reflect. Consider the events of your day, but with a gentle mindset. Ask yourself questions like, what went well today? What could I have handled better? What did I learn from today that I can carry into tomorrow? There's no need for harsh judgment. The goal isn't to critique yourself, but to gain insight, clarity, and acceptance. By doing this, you're giving your mind a moment to process the day, and in doing so, you release any lingering tension or frustration that might otherwise disrupt your sleep. Think of it like cleaning up the emotional clutter of the day. Reflection doesn't have to be an elaborate exercise. It can be as simple as acknowledging how you felt in response to certain events. Maybe you had a conversation that left you feeling uneasy, or maybe a task took longer than you expected. Instead of letting these things swirl around in your head, take a moment to acknowledge them and then let them go. It's important to remember that not everything needs to be solved before you sleep. Stoicism teaches us that some things are beyond our control, and instead of fighting them, we simply accept them as part of life's natural flow. By reflecting on your day, you're allowing yourself to accept both your successes and your failures, and you're choosing to move forward with a clearer mindset. A helpful technique for this evening reflection is to imagine that you're observing your day from a distance, as if you were a third party watching the events unfold. This allows you to detach from any immediate emotional reactions, helping you to view everything with a sense of calmness and objectivity. Think of yourself as a mentor or a wise friend looking at the day from a broader perspective. This kind of reflection helps you identify areas for growth without being consumed by guilt or frustration. In fact, the Stoics believed that reflecting on both our mistakes and our victories was essential to growth. They knew that it's only through honest self-reflection that we can continue to improve. In addition to offering insight, this practice of reflection also helps you acknowledge the things you've accomplished. After a long day, it's easy to focus only on what didn't go as planned, but reflecting on your achievements, no matter how small, can be incredibly powerful. It reminds you that you've done your best, and that's enough. It also allows you to end your day on a positive note, focusing on the progress you've made, rather than the obstacles you've faced. One thing to remember when practicing reflection is to keep it brief and gentle. This is not a time to overanalyze or overthink. The goal is to bring awareness to your day in a non-judgmental way, helping you release any lingering stress or anxiety. This allows you to sleep more peacefully, knowing that you've processed everything you need to, and that you've made room for rest. As you lie in bed tonight, try to implement this reflection. Think about how your day went, but instead of holding on to regrets or frustrations, let them go. Consider how you can approach tomorrow with a clearer mind and a lighter heart. By doing this, you allow yourself to enter a state of calmness, ready for the sleep you need. One of the greatest gifts the Stoics gave us was the idea that we don't have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. By reflecting on your day and accepting what is, you give yourself the space to rest. Reflection isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about gaining insight and releasing the need to control everything. Tonight, take a moment to reflect on your day, acknowledge what you've learned, and then let go of everything that no longer serves you. Your mind doesn't need to hold on to every detail. You've done enough for today. Now allow yourself the gift of peaceful sleep, knowing that you've made peace with the day and are ready to rest. The Stoics knew that in order to live a peaceful life, you must learn to detach from the chaos and find calm in the midst of it. This evening reflection is a small yet powerful practice that can help you do just that. It helps you separate yourself from the chaos of the day and move into a state of rest, ready to face tomorrow with clarity and peace. So, tonight, before you close your eyes, take a moment to reflect. Give yourself permission to let go. The day is done. Tomorrow is a new opportunity. And for now, rest. As we dive deeper into the Stoic practice of calming the mind before sleep, it's essential to focus on something often overlooked: quieting the inner noise. In today's fast-paced world, our minds are constantly bombarded with information, noise, and distractions. It's almost as if there's a constant hum, like a buzzing in the background that prevents us from experiencing true peace. But what if I told you that one of the greatest Stoic practices for sleep is learning how to quiet this noise? Bundy, Stoics understood that a peaceful mind could only be achieved when we learn to silence the chatter that often fills our thoughts. This isn't about stopping all thoughts. That would be impossible. It's about learning to control them, to quiet the ones that don't serve you, and to allow only those thoughts that bring peace and clarity to your mind. It's no secret that many of us lie awake at night, our minds racing through to-do lists, worries about the future, or reflections on the past. And while these thoughts may feel urgent, most of them are not truly important in the moment. The trick, as the Stoics taught, is to recognize that these thoughts, this endless stream of inner noise, do not require your attention. Epictetus, the famous Stoic philosopher, often spoke of how we are disturbed not by events themselves, but by our perception of them. When we engage with the noise of our thoughts, we give them power over us. But what if we stopped giving them that power? What if instead of letting each thought pull us in, we learn to observe them without attaching ourselves to them? The Stoics believed that our thoughts were like passing clouds in the sky. They come and go, and while we might notice them, we don't have to hold on to them. Just as you might watch a cloud float by without trying to catch it, you can observe a thought without getting entangled in it. This is a practice of detachment. It's the ability to notice a thought, acknowledge it, and then let it pass without judgment. As you lie in bed tonight, notice the thoughts that arise. Maybe you're thinking about the challenges you face today or the uncertainties of tomorrow. Instead of getting caught up in those thoughts, simply acknowledge them and then let them go. You can say to yourself, "That thought is not mine to carry right now." This practice of not engaging with every thought allows you to create space in your mind, and that space is where peace lives. One of the best ways to quiet your inner noise is through a technique called mindfulness meditation, something the Stoics, in their own way, practiced long before it became popular. You don't have to sit cross-legged or chant anything to benefit from mindfulness. All you need to do is focus on your breath. Notice the air as it enters and leaves your body. With each breath, let go of a little more of the noise in your head. When a thought arises, simply notice it, and then return your attention to your breath. It's like pressing the reset button for your mind. The more you practice this, the quieter your mind becomes, and the easier it is to relax into sleep. Imagine this process like cleaning a window. At first, the glass is cloudy with thoughts, worries, and distractions. But as you take a deep breath and bring your attention back to the present, you're gently wiping away the fog. Slowly, the window clears and you're left with a serene, still mind. This is exactly what the Stoics wanted for us. A mind free from unnecessary clutter. You don't have to allow every thought to take up space in your mind. By observing them without judgment and letting them pass, you create room for peace and tranquility. Think of your mind as a garden. If you constantly feed it with weeds, unnecessary thoughts, you'll never have space for the beautiful flowers, peaceful, calming thoughts. But if you clear away the weeds by acknowledging and letting go of the noise, you make room for the calm to flourish. That calmness, the stillness, is what will carry you into a restful night's sleep. What's fascinating is that quieting the mind isn't just beneficial for sleep, it's a powerful tool for managing stress and anxiety in every area of your life. The more you practice this technique, the more resilient you become in the face of challenges. You begin to realize that you don't need to react to every thought, and you don't need to get caught up in every worry. Just as the Stoics practiced maintaining their peace amidst chaos, you too can maintain your calm no matter what life throws your way. And here's the best part. The more you practice quieting your inner noise, the easier it becomes to slip into sleep. You'll find that your mind no longer races when your head hits the pillow. Instead, you'll enter a state of deep relaxation, knowing that you've let go of the day's distractions. So as you prepare to sleep tonight, try this. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and simply observe your thoughts. Notice them without engaging with them. Watch them come and go like clouds in the sky. If your mind begins to race again, gently bring your focus back to your breath. With every exhale, release the tension and noise. With every inhale, invite calmness. This practice will help you find the stillness that the Stoics so often spoke of, and in that stillness, you'll find the restful sleep you deserve. Your mind, like the calm sea at night, doesn't need to be disturbed. It can be still, it can be clear, and it can be ready for the deep restorative sleep you need. Remember, the Stoics didn't strive for perfection. They simply practiced detachment and acceptance. By quieting your inner noise tonight, you're following in their footsteps, creating the space needed for peace and sleep. So, take a moment. Now let go of the mental clutter and surrender to the stillness. In this peaceful silence, sleep will find you. As we continue our journey through Stoic wisdom, let's now turn our attention to something that, while often overlooked, holds profound power when it comes to calming the mind before sleep. The role of nature in Stoic calm. Nature, for the Stoics, was not simply something to admire from a distance, it was a mirror to human life itself. Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations frequently spoke of nature as a guiding force, something that reflected the order and balance of the universe. Stoics saw nature as the ultimate teacher, a reminder that we, too, are part of a larger, harmonious system. In fact, one of the central ideas of Stoicism is that living in alignment with nature brings peace. We tend to forget this in our busy, technology-driven lives. We surround ourselves with artificial environments, digital distractions, and an endless stream of external noise. But what if the key to a peaceful mind before bed lies not in controlling our thoughts, but in reconnecting with the simplicity and serenity of nature? Think about it. When you step outside and feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, or the gentle breeze rustling through the trees, you experience a sense of calm. There's a certain stillness in nature that is rarely found in our fast-paced modern world. Stoics understood this, and they would often seek quiet places in nature to clear their minds and reflect. Nature has a way of putting things into perspective. When we pause and observe the natural world around us, we begin to realize that much of the mental noise we carry is simply a result of overthinking, attachment, or resistance to things outside of our control. The wind doesn't fight the trees, the waves don't struggle against the ocean, and the sun doesn't resist the passage of time. Nature flows with what is. When we learn to flow with what is, much like nature does, we can let go of the anxiety that often clutters our minds. Let's apply this idea to the process of winding down before sleep. Imagine that you're standing by a calm lake, watching the ripples on the surface. The water moves gently, without force or resistance. The ripples come and go, and yet the water remains steady. This is how your thoughts should be at the end of the day. Gentle, without force, without struggle. Just like the ripples on the lake, your thoughts can come and go without needing to be controlled. The key here is acceptance. When you're lying in bed tonight, consider the simple rhythm of nature, how everything flows, how nothing is forced. Instead of struggling with your thoughts or trying to control them, try simply observing them as they pass, just as you would watch the wind blow through the trees or the leaves fall gently to the ground. By reconnecting with the natural world, in this way, you can bring a sense of calm and balance to your mind. In addition to this observation of nature, think about how nature can also guide us in our practice of letting go. The Stoics would often remind themselves that just as nature moves in cycles, seasons change, day turns to night, and everything in life is impermanent, we too must learn to accept the natural ebb and flow of our own experiences. We are, after all, part of nature. Our thoughts, feelings, and emotions are part of the greater web of life, and much like the seasons, they too will come and go. Understanding this can help us detach from the need to control every thought or worry. It also reminds us that everything has its time and place. Tonight, instead of resisting your thoughts, allow them to follow their natural course. Observe them with the same acceptance and ease that nature follows its cycles. Trust that, like the seasons, your thoughts will eventually change, and peace will return. Nature also teaches us the value of stillness. It's easy to forget in our daily lives, but when you truly observe nature, you realize that everything is in constant motion, yet there's a deep stillness at the core of it all. The trees sway in the wind, the waves crash against the shore, and yet there's a profound silence that underlies it all. This stillness is available to you too. When you allow your thoughts to settle and accept the natural course of your mind, you tap into that same stillness that exists in nature. It's not about stopping your thoughts. It's about allowing them to flow without attaching to them. When you lie in bed tonight, imagine yourself as part of the natural world. Picture yourself as a tree standing strong yet flexible in the wind. Your thoughts are like the leaves fluttering gently, but you remain rooted and still. This stillness is the gateway to peaceful sleep. The more you practice connecting with nature in this way, the more you'll find that the stress and anxiety of the day melt away. You'll be able to release the need to control everything, to accept what is, and to flow with the natural rhythm of life. Nature doesn't rush, and neither should you. By slowing down, taking a moment to breathe deeply, and connecting with the natural world around you, you allow yourself the space to let go of the mental clutter. The Stoics didn't just see nature as something external. They understood that we are a part of it. By recognizing our place in the natural order, we can align ourselves with its rhythms, and in doing so, find peace. This peace isn't about achieving perfection. It's about finding harmony within the flow of life. So as you lie down to sleep tonight, take a moment to breathe deeply and imagine yourself surrounded by nature. Picture the gentle sway of the trees, the peaceful stillness of the night, and the soft rhythm of your breath matching the natural world around you. As you breathe, allow your thoughts to come and go like the ripples on the water. Accept whatever is just as nature does, and in doing so, you'll find the calm you need to drift into peaceful sleep. Remember, just as nature is always flowing, you too are always moving through life, one moment at a time. Let the rhythm of nature guide you to a peaceful night's rest. As we continue to explore the Stoic path to restful sleep, it's time to delve into a profound teaching from Epictetus that can truly transform the way we approach peace of mind. The wisdom of focusing on what you can control. This Stoic idea is central to their philosophy and has the power to bring immense clarity and calmness when it comes to falling asleep. So often we lie in bed at night replaying the events of the day or worrying about the future. These thoughts, while natural, often spiral out of control. But what if, instead of struggling with the uncontrollable, we focused only on what we can influence? Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This statement is not just a platitude. It's a powerful invitation to reclaim our mental space. You see, most of the time, the things that occupy our minds are beyond our control. The actions of others, unforeseen circumstances, and even the very nature of the world itself are all things we can't change. But here's the beauty of this Stoic insight. We can control how we respond to them. Think about your day. How much time do you spend worrying about things that are outside of your control? Maybe it's the weather, the actions of someone close to you, or the uncertainty of future events. These are things that, no matter how much mental energy we invest, will not change. The Stoics remind us that the only thing we truly control is our reaction to these events. And tonight, as you prepare for rest, this teaching can help you clear your mind and bring you peace. You see, when we focus on the things we cannot control, we rob ourselves of the peace we can achieve through accepting what is. The goal is not to push away these worries or pretend they don't exist. The goal is to remind ourselves that we are not responsible for them. We can't control the actions of others, but we can control how we respond to them. We can't control the outcome of tomorrow, but we can control how we prepare ourselves today. This realization is liberating because it allows us to stop carrying the weight of things that don't belong to us. So, as you lie in bed tonight, consider this. What are you carrying with you that you don't need to? What worries, anxieties, or stressors are taking up mental space that could be better used for rest? Instead of holding on to the tension of the day, try focusing on what's within your control. You control your breath. You control your thoughts. You control how you frame your experiences. In the practice of Stoicism, the first step toward peace is realizing that our responses are ours to manage, and everything else is outside our grasp. Let's take a moment and breathe deeply, letting go of the need to control the things that are beyond us. With each inhale, focus on calming your body. With each exhale, release the tension you've been holding on to. As you do this, repeat to yourself, "This is outside of my control and that's okay." Feel the weight of the world lifting off your shoulders. By choosing to let go of those things that aren't yours to manage, you make space for peace and relaxation. The Stoics didn't encourage us to withdraw from life, but rather to engage with it in a way that aligns with reality. There's no need to fight against things that we cannot change. Instead, we meet life as it comes with calm acceptance and a focus on what is within our control. This isn't a passive resignation. It's an active choice to focus our energy where it will be most effective. When you focus on the things you can control, you stop wasting energy on things that drain you. This shift in focus brings a powerful sense of liberation. No longer do you need to fight against the flow of life or hold on to worries about things you can't influence. Instead, you can let go and embrace a peaceful acceptance of the present moment. This mindset, when applied to your sleep, can be transformative. You might be surprised at how much more easily sleep comes when you stop fighting your thoughts and simply let them pass by. Imagine that each thought that arises is like a cloud in the sky. You notice it, but you don't hold on to it. You allow it to float away, knowing that you don't have to give it more energy than it deserves. This process of mental release inspired by Stoic thought can allow you to surrender the day's stress and drift into a deep, restorative sleep. It's about choosing to spend your energy where it will matter. You don't need to worry about things outside of your control. The future will unfold as it will, and you will face it when the time comes. Right now, your only job is to rest, to let go of the day's burdens, and to enter a state of calm. By focusing on your breath and the present moment, you allow yourself the freedom to relax and let go. The more you practice this mindset, the easier it becomes to release the unnecessary weight of life and sleep deeply. The Stoics remind us that true peace comes from within. It's not something we can find by controlling the world around us, but something we can cultivate by focusing on our own responses, our own thoughts, and our own inner world. So, tonight, as you prepare to sleep, ask yourself this: what can I control? You control your breath. You control how you respond to your thoughts. You control your relaxation. As you lie in bed, release the rest. Let go of anything that is not yours to carry. Breathe deeply and surrender the day. You've done all you can. Now it's time for rest. As we continue down the path toward a peaceful and restorative sleep, there's one more essential Stoic idea that can guide you to deeper relaxation tonight: the Stoic approach to fear and anxiety. It's not uncommon to lie awake at night, feeling a sense of unease or anxiety about the future. These feelings can keep you from drifting off to sleep, as they occupy your mind and disrupt your peace. The Stoics, however, had a unique way of approaching fear, one that can be transformative if we apply it to our nightly routine. They didn't shy away from fear or pretend that it didn't exist. Instead, they confronted it head-on, understanding that fear is often a product of the mind, a mental construct that can be deconstructed with the right mindset. Let's start by considering a simple but profound Stoic principle. Fear is rooted in our perception of things. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher and emperor, often reflected on how our fears are usually magnified by our imagination. We tend to create scenarios in our minds, worst-case scenarios that cause us to feel anxiety, even when the reality is much more manageable. Stoicism teaches us that fear arises when we place too much weight on things outside of our control. We fear the unknown, we fear failure, and we fear the potential outcomes of situations we cannot predict. But here's the truth. The Stoics believe that fear only has power when we give it power. If we learn to detach from the fearful stories we tell ourselves, we can begin to neutralize anxiety. So, as you lie in bed tonight, ask yourself, what am I afraid of? What anxiety is weighing on my mind, preventing me from letting go of the day? It might be something as simple as a task you haven't finished, or it could be a worry about something that's far in the future, something you have no control over right now. The key, according to the Stoics, is to recognize that fear is simply an emotion, and like all emotions, it is fleeting. It is something we experience, but it does not define us. You can't stop the emotion of fear from arising, but you can choose how to respond to it. The first step is to acknowledge the fear without attaching to it. Rather than letting your mind spiral into the what-ifs of the future, pause and say to yourself, "This is a thought. It doesn't have to control me." In this way, you begin to create a distance between you and the fear itself. You are not your fear. You are the observer of it. The Stoics would remind you that the fear you feel right now is often tied to things that may never happen. You are, in essence, worrying about the future, a future that hasn't yet arrived and may not even unfold the way you imagine. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. When you allow fear to dominate your thoughts, it steals your peace. But when you recognize it for what it is, a fleeting emotion that doesn't define your reality, you reclaim your peace. So, tonight, as you begin to wind down and prepare for sleep, let's apply this Stoic wisdom. When fear or anxiety arises, in your mind, pause. Notice it. Acknowledge that it's there. But then remind yourself that fear doesn't have to hold you captive. You can choose to let it pass. Imagine that fear is like a shadow passing by. It's there for a moment, but it's not permanent. It's not something you need to hold on to. You have the power to choose not to engage with it. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that we are disturbed not by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens. In other words, it's not the external circumstances that cause us distress, but our perception of them. When you recognize this, you begin to see that fear is just a product of your mind. It's not a reflection of reality. It's simply a mental construct that can be dissolved by turning your attention to the present moment. You don't need to entertain every fearful thought that comes your way. You can simply observe them, acknowledge them, and choose to let them pass. What's incredible about this Stoic approach is that it empowers you to control your mind rather than letting it control you. Fear and anxiety only have power when we give them power, but when we choose to detach from them, they lose their grip. By accepting that fear is just a passing emotion, you create space for calmness, for clarity, and for peace. This practice is particularly powerful when you're trying to sleep. Anxiety has a way of creeping into our minds when we're still, when our minds are quiet. But when you recognize that you can choose to let go of that anxiety, you create a safe space for relaxation. You're not denying the presence of fear, you're simply refusing to let it take control of your thoughts. You can, in essence, break the cycle of fear and worry by choosing not to engage with it. The Stoics taught us that we have the power to shape our thoughts, to choose what we give our mental energy to. When we make that conscious choice, we begin to create a sense of inner peace that allows us to rest. So tonight, as you settle into bed, take a moment to check in with yourself. Are there any fears or anxieties that are holding you hostage? Are there any worries that are keeping you from letting go of the day? If so, remember the Stoic lesson. You don't have to engage with those fears. They are not permanent, and they don't have to define you. Recognize them, let them pass, and choose to focus on the present moment. By doing so, you free yourself from the grip of fear and anxiety, and with that freedom comes the peace of mind you need for a restful, restorative sleep. As we journey deeper into the Stoic practices that can lead us to peaceful sleep, let's focus on one simple, yet profoundly powerful Stoic concept: gratitude. You might be thinking, gratitude? Isn't that more of a feel-good concept than a Stoic one? But hear me out. Gratitude in Stoic terms is not just about saying thank you for the good things that happen in life. It's about recognizing the value in everything, good or bad, and appreciating life for what it is, rather than what we wish it to be. Gratitude is one of the most grounding practices, and it has the power to shift our perspective and bring peace to our minds, especially before we sleep. The Stoics often reminded themselves to practice gratitude, not just for what went well in their day, but for the challenges, hardships, and difficulties they faced. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoics, frequently wrote about how he learned to appreciate the obstacles in his life. Instead of viewing them as inconveniences or frustrations, he chose to see them as opportunities for growth. In his meditations, he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is the Stoic way of gratitude. It's about seeing everything as part of the greater whole, as a part of the process that shapes us into who we are meant to be. The beauty of this is that it's a mindset, not just a reaction to good things. Gratitude is something that you can choose to embrace every day, even when life doesn't go as planned. It's about being thankful for the lessons learned in the struggles and for the strength built through adversity. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, consider practicing a simple gratitude exercise. Before you close your eyes, think back to your day. Reflect not just on the moments that brought you joy, but on the moments that were challenging or difficult. Instead of wishing they had been different, try to find something to appreciate about them. Maybe a difficult conversation taught you patience, or a challenging task pushed you to be more resourceful. Maybe the stress you felt today reminded you of your resilience. Whatever it is, take a moment to feel genuine gratitude for the lessons and opportunities each moment provided. This practice of reflecting on gratitude has a deep effect on your mindset. Instead of going to bed frustrated or anxious about the things you couldn't control, you'll find peace in knowing that every experience, no matter how small, contributes to your growth. Gratitude helps you reframe your perspective. It allows you to see the positives in every situation, turning obstacles into stepping stones and helping you appreciate the present moment. It brings you back to the now and reminds you that all is well, even if things aren't perfect. You might be surprised by how much lighter you feel after practicing gratitude. When you give yourself the space to acknowledge what you're grateful for, you create a sense of abundance, not scarcity. You stop focusing on what you lack, and instead you focus on what you have. This shift is powerful because it turns your attention inward to what's good and beautiful in your life. It helps to remind you that, even in a world filled with uncertainty, there is always something to appreciate. Practicing gratitude before bed also helps to clear your mind of distractions. Instead of lying awake ruminating on the mistakes you made or the worries about tomorrow, gratitude shifts your focus. You begin to cultivate a positive mindset, one that fills your mind with appreciation rather than anxiety. And when you go to sleep with a grateful heart, it's easier to find peace. This practice isn't about ignoring your problems or pretending that everything is perfect. Instead, it's about recognizing that even in difficult moments, there is always something to be thankful for. It's about finding meaning in the challenges and accepting that all experiences are part of the grand journey. The Stoics taught that our thoughts create our reality. And by choosing to focus on gratitude, we shape our experiences in a more positive light. It's about changing the way we interpret the world around us, finding value in every situation, and ultimately, finding peace. As you prepare to fall asleep tonight, take a few moments to focus on gratitude. Think about the lessons of the day, the strength you've gained, and the small victories you've achieved. Let go of anything that didn't go the way you wanted, and instead, give yourself the gift of appreciation. Take a moment to thank yourself for the effort you put in today, for your resilience, and for your ability to keep going. If your mind starts to wander to worries or frustrations, gently bring it back to what you're grateful for. It might take a little practice, but with time, this gratitude practice will become second nature. It will help you approach life with a more peaceful, accepting attitude, and it will bring a sense of calm and clarity to your nights. The Stoics knew that happiness isn't about having everything we want, but about appreciating what we already have. When we focus on gratitude, we align ourselves with the present moment, and we invite peace into our lives. So tonight, as you close your eyes, focus on the good things in your life. Focus on the lessons, the opportunities, and the beauty that surrounds you. And with that sense of gratitude, let yourself drift peacefully to sleep. As we move forward in our exploration of Stoic practices that can bring tranquility to your mind before sleep, let's turn to a powerful concept that has long been at the heart of Stoic philosophy, amor fati, or the love of fate. At first glance, this idea may seem counterintuitive. Why would anyone choose to love their fate, especially when life often presents us with difficulties, challenges, and struggles? However, in the Stoic worldview, amor fati is not just about accepting what happens. It's about embracing it fully, even the parts we would rather avoid. The Stoics believed that everything, whether perceived as good or bad, is part of the natural flow of life, and that we, as part of that flow, must learn to accept and love it all. What does this mean for us, especially in relation to sleep and mental peace? It means that by loving the entirety of our lives, the good, the bad, the joyful, and the painful, we open ourselves to a deeper sense of peace. We stop resisting the events of our day, and instead we surrender to the natural rhythm of life. This idea of amor fati can be especially helpful when your mind races before bed, replaying moments of frustration, stress, or fear. Rather than wishing these moments away or feeling anger toward them, you can choose to embrace them, recognizing that they too are part of your journey. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius believed that accepting life as it is, without fighting against it, brings inner peace. In his meditations he wrote, "What happens to you is not as important as how you react to it. The key is not to resist what has happened, whether it's a mistake you made or something beyond your control, but to accept it as part of your fate." And here's the powerful part. By loving your fate, you free yourself from the weight of regret, anger, and frustration. When you let go of the need to change the past or fight the present, you make space for peace. Instead of replaying the events of the day in your mind, wishing they had unfolded differently, you choose to embrace them. This can be incredibly liberating. So tonight, as you settle into bed, ask yourself, what am I resisting right now? Maybe it's a difficult conversation you had, an unmet expectation, or a challenge you didn't handle as well as you'd hoped. Whatever it is, instead of resisting it, practice amor fati. Acknowledge it, and then choose to embrace it. Remind yourself that everything that happens is part of your journey, and by accepting it, you free yourself from the burden of resistance. This is not to say that you should passively accept negative events without learning from them. Rather, amor fati is about cultivating an attitude of acceptance and gratitude for everything that life brings. It's about recognizing that each moment, no matter how difficult, is an opportunity for growth. Imagine how freeing it would feel to accept your fate, in all its forms, as exactly what it needs to be. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to fight anything. You simply have to embrace it. Tonight, practice amor fati by choosing to love your life exactly as it is. If your mind is filled with thoughts of things you wish had gone differently, gently remind yourself that everything is as it should be. Let go of the need to change the past, and instead, surrender to the present moment. This practice allows you to find peace in whatever happens, knowing that everything is an opportunity for growth, learning, and acceptance. This is what the Stoics meant when they spoke of living in harmony with nature. Life unfolds as it will, and we can either resist it or embrace it. By choosing to love your fate, you align yourself with the flow of life, allowing peace to settle in your heart. And here's the best part. When you embrace your fate, you no longer feel the pressure to control every outcome. You no longer feel the weight of frustration when things don't go as planned. Instead, you learn to relax into the unfolding of life, trusting that everything is happening as it should. This mindset brings immense peace, and it allows you to fully embrace the present moment. This also helps you let go of any lingering stress or anxiety as you prepare for sleep. You no longer need to hold on to worries about what went wrong or what might happen in the future. By practicing amor fati, you choose to let go of resistance and enter a state of acceptance. With each passing moment, you release the need to control, and with that release, you make space for peace. The beauty of amor fati is that it isn't about denying the challenges of life. It's about accepting them as part of the natural flow. Life will always bring its ups and downs, but by learning to love both, you create a life of inner peace. You are not fighting against life's challenges. You are flowing with them, knowing that they too are part of your journey. So tonight, as you prepare to sleep, practice amor fati. Let go of the things you can't change. Embrace what is. Love your life exactly as it is, and trust that everything is happening for your growth and peace. As you do this, you will feel the weight of the day lift from your shoulders, and you will find the deep, restful sleep that you deserve. Sleep will come easily when you release resistance and embrace the flow of life with love and acceptance. As we continue on this journey of Stoic practices for peaceful sleep, let's explore the profound wisdom of Marcus Aurelius on the nature of sleep itself. The Stoic emperor, who often grappled with the weight of leadership, was not immune to the trials of restlessness. Yet he was able to cultivate a mindset that helped him not only deal with the challenges of life, but also find true relaxation when it came to sleep. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reflected on the impermanence of life and how each moment, including the time spent resting, was an opportunity for growth. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This, in many ways, is the Stoic approach to sleep. Recognizing that while we can't control the world around us, we do have the power to control how we respond to it. When we lie down at night, it's natural for the mind to race with worries and thoughts about the day. However, Marcus Aurelius taught that if we remind ourselves of the fleeting nature of everything, our worries, our tasks, our concerns, we can begin to let go and ease into rest. It's easy to believe that we need to solve every problem before we sleep, or that we must figure out every detail of the future. But the Stoics would say this is unnecessary. Sleep, after all, is a natural process, and just as nature unfolds without our constant intervention, so should our rest. Marcus Aurelius himself, though burdened with responsibilities, knew the importance of prioritizing rest and understanding that some things must simply be left until tomorrow. Instead of overthinking or worrying about the challenges ahead, the Stoics taught us to focus on what is present. In fact, sleep, from a Stoic perspective, is not a time of retreat from reality, but an opportunity to accept the present moment fully. When you go to sleep tonight, consider this. The thoughts that swirl in your mind are likely just fragments of the day, unfinished business, unresolved conversations, or fears about the future. Marcus Aurelius's teachings remind us that these thoughts, though important, do not need to consume us. Sleep allows us to step away from these concerns and trust that tomorrow will come with its own challenges, and we will be ready for them. One of the ways Marcus Aurelius reframed sleep was by reminding himself that it is part of the natural cycle. Sleep is not something to resist, but something to embrace. As he wrote in his Meditations, "The time which you have been given is for living, and it is but a small part of your life. Your life is a continuous flow, a series of moments, each one leading to the next. Rest is as much a part of that flow as any other activity. By viewing sleep as an integral part of his life's flow, Marcus Aurelius was able to detach from the idea that he needed to control every moment. Instead, he allowed sleep to come naturally, seeing it as an essential part of the human experience that renewed and recharged him for the next day's challenges. Now let's apply this to our own nightly routine. Think about how much we fight sleep. We often lie awake running through lists in our heads, worrying about things that haven't even happened yet. We feel as though we have to stay alert, as if our rest is a sign of weakness or inactivity. But Marcus Aurelius would say that this is a misunderstanding of how we are meant to live. Rest, like action, is an essential part of life's flow. To deny it or resist it only causes unnecessary strain on the mind and body. Tonight, as you prepare to sleep, allow yourself to adopt this Stoic perspective. Recognize that sleep is as natural as the rising and setting of the sun. It is not something you need to fight or control. You do not need to overthink or keep your mind engaged in the events of the day. Instead, surrender to the natural rhythm of rest. As you close your eyes, let go of the notion that you must resolve everything before you sleep. Instead, remind yourself that the world will continue without your constant vigilance. The tasks of the day, the unresolved issues, and the worries about the future, none of these need to hold space in your mind right now. Marcus Aurelius's teachings about sleep were rooted in the understanding that rest is vital for our well-being. Just as we need nourishment and exercise, we need sleep to recharge, refresh, and restore ourselves. Without proper rest, our minds become cluttered, and our ability to function the next day is compromised. Sleep, in this sense, is not a luxury. It is a necessity, and one that should be embraced with gratitude and understanding. So, tonight, let your mind rest. As you lie in bed, imagine yourself as Marcus Aurelius, reflecting on the day with clarity and calmness, letting go of what can't be controlled. Visualize sleep as a natural part of your rhythm, just like the sun setting at the end of the day. Your work, your worries, your challenges, they are all part of life's flow, and you can let go of them for the night, trusting that tomorrow will come in its own time. There is no need to force rest or to control the process. Sleep, in its natural state, is a gift that helps you find peace, clarity, and balance. By embracing sleep as part of the flow of life, you allow yourself to rest fully and wake up renewed. So tonight, give yourself the gift of relaxation. Trust that your mind and body will know exactly what to do when you allow them the space to rest. You don't need to hold on to the day any longer. Release it. Let go. And as you embrace the gift of sleep, you'll find that peace and relaxation will naturally follow, helping you wake up refreshed and ready for whatever tomorrow brings. Just as Marcus Aurelius lived his life with intention and calmness, so too can you approach sleep with a sense of peace and purpose. Surrender to the natural process of rest and trust that sleep will come as effortlessly as the night follows the day. As we near the end of our journey through Stoic practices designed to bring peace before sleep, it's time to focus on a concept that is central to the Stoic mindset and can make a remarkable difference in how we approach rest: the release of expectations. It's easy to see why expectations create such tension in our minds. We set goals, we plan our days, and we anticipate outcomes, believing that our success or happiness is tied to specific results. But here's the Stoic twist. We don't control the outcomes. We only control how we respond to them. The Stoics were deeply aware that setting rigid expectations could lead to frustration and disappointment. The philosopher Epictetus taught that we must learn to focus only on what is within our control, our actions, our choices, and our attitudes, while accepting the results of those actions as they come. Expectations, when left unchecked, often cause us to place too much weight on things outside our influence. As you lie in bed tonight, think about the expectations you might be holding on to. Expectations about your work, your relationships, your day-to-day life. When we expect things to go a certain way, we can easily become frustrated when they don't. The Stoics, however, would encourage us to release these expectations and embrace whatever unfolds, knowing that it is all part of the greater whole. Marcus Aurelius frequently reflected on this principle in his meditations, reminding himself that life is unpredictable and that he must meet whatever comes with grace. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The key takeaway here is that we must release our attachment to how things should be, and instead, learn to approach life with an open mind, accepting whatever happens without judgment or resistance. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, try releasing the expectations you've been holding on to. Think about the things you've been hoping for or planning to achieve, and recognize that while your efforts matter, the outcome is not in your control. This doesn't mean you shouldn't set goals or try your best. It simply means that you need to release the mental grip you've placed on the results. By letting go of the expectation of a specific outcome, you free yourself from the anxiety and pressure that come with it. The Stoics understood that peace comes not from controlling everything around us, but from accepting what is. When you release expectations, you make space for contentment in the present moment. This doesn't mean you give up on striving or growing. It simply means you let go of the need to control everything. You can put forth your best effort and then let go of the results, knowing that you've done your part. This release of expectation has an immediate and profound effect on your mind. Instead of lying in bed thinking about everything that didn't go as planned or stressing about the tasks ahead, you can rest in the knowledge that what's meant to be will unfold in its own time. This practice of releasing expectations helps clear your mind, allowing you to enter a state of relaxation and calmness, which is essential for good sleep. It's about trusting that life will continue, with or without your control, and that you are not responsible for the outcomes. This acceptance, according to Stoic wisdom, is what brings true peace. Take a moment to reflect on any expectations that might be keeping you awake tonight. Maybe it's the idea that you should have accomplished more today, or that tomorrow needs to be perfect for you to feel successful. Whatever it is, practice letting it go. Visualize yourself holding these expectations in your hands, and then gently set them down, one by one. As you do, imagine a sense of relief washing over you, knowing that you don't need to carry that weight anymore. Tonight, allow yourself to let go of the idea that everything must go according to plan. Embrace the uncertainty of life and the unpredictability of tomorrow. By releasing these expectations, you create space for peace and rest. You begin to understand that everything that happens, whether it's what you planned for or not, is part of your journey. This Stoic mindset helps you approach life with greater flexibility, resilience, and ease. It also allows you to sleep more soundly, free from the mental clutter that comes with rigid expectations. So tonight, as you lie in bed, let go of the idea that you need to control everything. Release the pressure of achieving perfection. Instead, simply acknowledge that you've done your best. And now, it's time to rest. When you do this, you allow your mind to calm and your body to relax, knowing that you are free from the burden of unattainable expectations. The Stoics weren't advocating for complacency. They were advocating for a calm, clear, and open-minded approach to life, one that allowed for flexibility and peace. When you release expectations, you make space for a deep, restorative sleep. So as you prepare for rest tonight, practice this release of expectations. Let go of the need to control the outcome of everything. Accept that life is unpredictable and that you can find peace in whatever comes. By doing so, you not only align with Stoic wisdom, but also open the door to the restful, rejuvenating sleep that you deserve. As you relax into your bed tonight, remember, the present moment is enough. You are enough, and everything else will unfold in its own time. As we come to the final section of our journey through Stoic wisdom for restful sleep, it's time to reflect on the ultimate practice that ties everything together: the final breath. A Stoic's last thought before rest. By now, we've explored how to embrace the present moment, let go of stress, focus on what we can control, and release our expectations. But tonight, as you prepare to drift into sleep, let's turn to the practice of giving yourself permission to truly rest. In Stoic philosophy, the idea of reflection and ending the day with intention is integral. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote about how he reflected on his day each night before sleep. He didn't merely recount the events, but looked at them as learning experiences, observing what he had done well and what he could improve. In the same way, you can make your last thought of the day a moment of intentional calm, a practice of ending the day with gratitude and peace. Think about how you want to end your day, not with anxiety or unfinished business, but with the intention of peace. When we approach the end of our day with a clear mind, we allow ourselves to relax, into sleep. The Stoics knew that a peaceful sleep was only possible when we let go of any lingering thoughts of unfinished tasks or unresolved emotions. They practiced a mental letting go by shifting their focus from the external world to the present moment, allowing themselves to rest in acceptance. As you prepare for sleep tonight, consider taking a moment to focus on your breath. Breathe deeply, feeling the tension in your body release with each exhale. Imagine that with each breath you're letting go of all the stress, worries, and unfinished tasks of the day. Allow yourself to fully relax and embrace the stillness of the present moment. Remember, the Stoics weren't advocating for us to completely disconnect from our thoughts. They encouraged us to observe them without becoming attached to them. This means that even when we reflect on the day or notice our thoughts racing, we don't need to judge ourselves or force ourselves into action. Instead, we observe and then release them. Just as you would gently put a book down at the end of the day, let go of any lingering thoughts or concerns. You've done what you could today. Now it's time for rest. By giving yourself permission to let go, you can transition into sleep with ease and comfort. This is a reminder that the day's struggles, victories, and challenges do not need to define you as you rest. As the Stoics would say, this is the way of life, and the way of life is not in your control. What is in your control is how you respond. When it comes to sleep, the only response you need is one of peace. This is the Stoic approach to rest, embracing the natural flow of the day, acknowledging what you can control, and then letting go of the rest. To let go is not to resign yourself to passivity. It is an act of self-care and trust. Trust in the process of rest. Trust in your body's ability to rejuvenate. Trust in the natural rhythms of life. As you lie down tonight, consider taking a few minutes to reflect on all that you have experienced without judgment. Let each event, whether a challenge or a triumph, be a part of your story, not something to hold on to, but something to release. This act of release isn't passive resignation, but a conscious decision to trust the flow of life and allow yourself to rest. This final breath, this last moment of stillness before sleep, is your invitation to relax into the moment, free from attachment and filled with acceptance. So as you breathe deeply, allow your body to settle and your mind to clear. Know that you are not defined by the thoughts in your mind, but by your ability to let them go. In this stillness, you will find peace. You will find rest. And with that, peace. Sleep will come, naturally and effortlessly. Marcus Aurelius often reflected that the day is over, and tomorrow will bring new challenges, new opportunities, and new lessons. What matters most is how we approach the present moment and how we give ourselves permission to rest. The night is a time for rejuvenation, a time for letting go, and a time for trusting that everything will unfold in its own time. So, as you lay your head down tonight, let your last thought be one of acceptance. You have done enough. The day is complete, and now you can rest. No matter what challenges tomorrow brings, you have already faced the day with grace, and you can now rest knowing that you are enough. In this moment, there is nothing more to be done. Just breathe, release, and surrender to the calm of the night. This is the final breath of the Stoic mind before sleep, a deep acceptance of what is, an appreciation for the journey, and a peaceful surrender into rest. Trust in this process. Trust that you've done enough. And now, give yourself the gift of peace. Tomorrow is another day, but for now you rest.